Get those reactions ready. The show is about to begin.
Yeah. New York playing the Phillies. He went 1 2/3 in that one.
Nice play by DJ, and he gets Frazier. Grounded up the middle and through for a base hit. It's an RBI single for Higgs.
It's just more of the fact that they needed a roster spot.
Nice play by Cabrera. High drive into right field. Barber back. Still back. And it's going to be off the wall. It's a triple for Volpe. That one is ripped to left field. It is a base hit. That gives the Yankees a 2-1 lead. That is cracked to left field. There it goes. See ya. What a bomb.
See what he does.
Swing and a miss. Got him with the change.
Today is April 8th, 2023, and we have a lot to get to tonight. Game 2 of a 3-game set between the Yankees and the Orioles, but also a flurry of roster moves and a couple of guys headed to the injured list. My recap and your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Good night for the Yankees. Good night for the kids. Johnny Brito, Anthony Volpe, Oswaldo Cabrera. Young guns getting it done. Brito, 2-0 to begin his Major League career. Terrific night for him. Tons of poise. Very good mechanics. Hey, look, rubber match tomorrow. It's Easter Sunday. Game's at 1:35, so I will be here and doing a live show for those of you who want to tune in. But if you're spending the day with your families, obviously that's more important, so tune in. Great thing about these recaps is they stay on YouTube forever, so feel free to catch it Monday morning. Hey, before we get started, you might have noticed that there's a bit of a shorter intro tonight. That was not your imagination. This season, I made the deliberate decision to kind of reintroduce some highlights to the top of the show, just to kind of set the mood for the postgame. I'm not always going to have all the highlights, but I'll usually have something. But since this is still a podcast and it's still a live show, there needs to be something set up for the audience to give people a minute to join the show. Also, I like to set it up for the audience that's just listening, kind of let them know what's going on, what we're going to be talking about. You learn things as you go along. The podcast is becoming more popular these days, not just on YouTube and other platforms, but on audio as well. We've grown in staff, and that means I occasionally need to read a 60-second ad before the live stream begins. But like I said, we learn things, and one of the things that I've learned is that, you know, when you do all that, sometimes it was adding up to 3 or even 4 minutes before we get to the actual meat and potatoes of the recap. And a few people were getting kind of grumpy about it. So essentially, the beginning of the show was, you know, getting a little bit clunky, a little bit clunkier than I wanted it to be. So we're making a change on the fly. In a Rob Manfred-inspired effort to speed things up, I decided to scale back the musical number that plays for the intro and go with a more succinct title stinger, so that we can get to the live portion of the show a little bit quicker, since that's the part of the show that you guys typically tune in for. In essence, we're trying to land the right balance between high-quality show and quick access. So when you tune into the postgame, you can expect a few quick highlights, a brief setup of the game for those of you who are, you know, either casuals or just joining for the first time in a little bit. But not every episode will have a ad spot. Certainly more of them will this year than usual. But that should be all done and wrapped up within 2 minutes most of the time. So that'll give people enough time to join the stream, but also ensures that people who tune in the next day don't have to watch a bunch of useless fluff if they just want to get to the analysis portion of the show. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the news before the game. So we had some roster moves. Johnny Lasagna off to a tough start. Hasn't looked the same. Headed to the IL with an elbow sprain. That explains why he didn't pitch last night, and instead they went to Cordero. Tommy Kahnle was moved to the 60-day IL, retroactive to March 27th. So the earliest we're going to see him is around Memorial Day in late May. They now have 11 players on the IL, and today was the 8th game of the season. don't really know what the hell is going on. They did call up Willie Calhoun, who's an outfielder. Aaron Hicks was in the lineup tonight, and he was not totally useless for once. They also called up Johnny Brito again. He got optioned after his previous start, but he was damn good in that start, so he was back tonight when the opportunity arose. His changeup was so effective in his first outing. It had a 50% chase rate that you just knew the Orioles were going to be sitting on it. And early on, they were. Leadoff batter waited on one and hit it to left field. Second batter lined one right back off of Brito, and he was in a jam immediately. Orioles ended up getting a run, but for the most part, Brito used his poise. He didn't let the game get too quick. Nice job by Higashioka to go out and talk to him and settle him down, and he pitched out of it. His curveball was a little bit better tonight than it was his first outing. Changeup, not quite as good, but he adjusted. Fastball was good, 96, 97. I actually watched the Oriole broadcast while Brito was pitching because I specifically wanted to hear what Jim Palmer had to say about him. Jim Palmer's great at analyzing pitchers. He's one of the greatest pitchers ever. And he remarked that the sinker and the changeup have almost the exact same shape, but vastly different speeds. And Palmer was very complimentary of that. His mechanics appear to be very repeatable. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot to like about Johnny Brito. So bottom two, DJ LeMahieu made a fantastic diving play at third base to take away a hit. And then like 5 minutes later in the top of the third, he smoked one to right field and had a hit taken away from him. I tell you what, though, he hit the ball hard multiple times tonight. He looks like he's really back and locked in on both sides of the ball. All you worry about is the durability, especially with as many injuries as the Yankees have had already. So I am a bit worried about that, but I'm not worried about his performance or his ability to swing the bat or play D right now. You see the play right there. Great throw across the diamond as well. Forget to mention Aaron Hicks. Oh, man. I didn't think we were going to see him in the starting lineup again this year. He picked up his first hit of the season to tie the game at 1. Look, we root for the uniform and know how much, no matter how much it bothers us sometimes when he does something bad, when he does something good, you have to give him credit. That being said, I do hope the Yomiuri Giants were watching and they were like, that's our guy. I hope so. In the bottom of the fourth inning, Oswaldo Cabrera made an unreal catch. Like I said, my audio was on the Orioles telecast at that part of the game because of Palmer. But when I listened to the Yankee highlights, I just didn't feel like Michael Kay did that play justice. Unbelievable catch, and Michael Kay sounded like it was routine. Although I guess for Oswaldo, it has been routine. He's been fantastic out there. Top 5, Anthony Volpe just missed his first home run, but he did pick up his first Major League extra base hit, a triple off the right field wall. He was running hard out of the box. I don't have the definitive proof, but I think that would have been a home run at Yankee Stadium. Nice job for the kid. O'Hagan says Volpe did an awesome job. DJ followed up with another rocket into the left field corner to give the Yankees a 2-1 lead. Great situational hitting. Judge followed up with a sac fly, another great piece of situational hitting. And that set the stage for Giancarlo Stanton, who I tweeted, I thought he was going to have a big night. You could just tell by some of the foul balls he had early on that he was balanced, he was locked in. There was no kind of mystery tonight. He was seeing the ball very well, and I thought he was going to connect, and he did.
Home run for Stanton.
Big year incoming from Big G. Wrecking Machine.
Ultimate male versus the
Ultimate meatball. I'm telling you, he's going to have a big year. Third home run of the season, solo shot. That made it 4-1 Yanks. When he hits them, they stay hit. 436 feet on that one. So Brito, he was done after 5 innings. Again, very gutsy outing. He had some tough situations against a pretty good lineup that runs the base as well, caused him a little bit of havoc on the bases, but he worked through it. Final line, 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Nice job. Every once in a while, a player will just come from out of nowhere and instantly make an impact at the major league level. And it looks like to me like Johnny Brito might be one of those guys. I mean, he's the real deal. He throws strikes. He's got quality stuff. And he's only going to get better. And he's only going to get more and more confidence the more he succeeds. And any athlete will tell you that confidence is pretty much the most important thing. Mike King got the call out of the bullpen tonight. He was okay. His velocity is still down, but they seem to think it's mechanical. He was effective, but I'm still kind of concerned about the velo. Fingers crossed that they can figure out the mechanics. But overall, 2 scoreless innings, not too bad. Gleyber Torres smoked a line drive single in the top of the 8th. He continues to rake. Peralta came in for the 8th inning. He was solid. Clay Holmes came in for the 9th. I thought he was a little shaky. He gave up a hard shot at shortstop. He walked a guy, but ultimately he got through it, and the Yankees win this one and force a rubber game.
Ball game over. Yankees win. Yankees win.
Nino says, Brito, I like this guy.
You're a winner.
PHG in the house. So we had a lot of belt candidates tonight, with Big G hitting a home run, Volpe getting his first career triple, the 2 scoreless innings from Mike King. There were a lot of guys to choose from, but really Johnny Brito was the story. Another fantastic outing for the kid. Johnny Brito, his second belt. Ben K says, Brito supreme. I absolutely love that. That should actually be the Brito noise. I love it. So Patrick Spencer says, can Oswaldo win gold gloves at multiple positions this year? I don't know if that's possible, but they do have a gold glove for utility guy. I think he's going to end up playing a lot more left field than right field. And I think when you do gold gloves for the outfield, it might just be that they give a gold glove for outfielder now. That might have been, that was either the new rule or something that they were considering. That way you can have multiple guys from the same position win gold gloves. It might just be right fielders, center fielders, and left fielders, though, still. I think there was a debate about that, but I can't remember if they changed it or not. James G says, Johnny Bravo. Bravo indeed.
Absolutely. Hey.
And Junior Caroma wants to credit Brito for getting out of that jam in the 5th inning. I thought pitching out of the jam in the 1st inning was key. The Orioles obviously came out looking for that changeup. They were all over it early. He could have easily folded. Santander hit one deep to right field, ended up being a sac fly, came up maybe 10 feet short of the fence. But when he connected, I thought it was gone. I really thought it was out. But, luckily, it settled into the glove of Oswaldo Cabrera, and the rest of the night is history. Let's take a look at the box score. So LeMahieu, don't read too much into his 1 for 5 tonight. He hit the ball hard 3 or 4 times. I mean, he had the double. He had a couple of hard ground outs that were stolen. He had one hard ground out that was a diving play by Henderson, and then he hit one hard at the right fielder. He did strike out 1 time, but really good night for him in terms of contact. Judge was 1 for 2. He's reached base in 41 consecutive games, and that is just absurd. Rizzo 0 for 3. He had a tough night. Stanton 2 for 4, multi-hit game. He's hitting .286. Very quietly off to a great start. .976 OPS. I think he's going to have a big year. Torres, again, 1 for 2 with a couple of walks, on base 3 times. Look at that OPS, 1.284 to go along with a .417 batting average. Beautiful. Cabrera had such a good night last night that his 0 for 4 performance tonight didn't hurt his average that much. He's still over 300. Hicks, 1 for 4, hitting .091, but did have a key RBI tonight to tie up the game. Higashioka 0 for 3, hitting 100, but did his job behind the plate. And Anthony Volpe, he's down to 160, but that's actually an improvement from yesterday. 1 for 4 on the night with a triple, run scored, really showcased the speed. And aside from Brito, obviously King, Peralta, and Holmes combined to throw 4 shutout innings. Will Starr says, do you think they'll keep Brito up or will they do him wrong like Luis Gil? Really depends on if they're going to need a number 5 starter. I honestly think he's done more to keep that spot than Clark Schmidt has done to keep his spot. If I were making the decisions, I would send somebody other than Brito down, whether that's Clark Schmidt, whether that's somebody else. To me, Brito's got to stay in the rotation. I mean, pitching is the most important thing on the field. And it's so hard to get young pitchers. One fell into your lap. I mean, look, it's a product of years of development, but this guy was the number 27 overall prospect. He's by no means a blue chip prospect, and you didn't expect him to come in and do this. Now, the Giants, not a great offense. They do have some tough lefties, Crawford, Peterson, but this Orioles team's got a pretty good offense. I mean, Mullins, good, pesky little hitter. Rushman can really hit. Santander kills the Yankees. Mountcastle is an all-star, I believe. Henderson's a promising up-and-comer. Hayes has an OPS over 800 so far this year. Frazier has hit over 300 in his career. These are good hitters. And he really mixed and matched well. I thought he used the sinker well. I thought the changeup, while it was not as good as it was his first time out, got better as the night went along. He had 2 strikeouts, I believe, in the final inning. I know he ended his night with a strikeout, and that was on a changeup. But the hits early on were on the changeup. So, Louis was surprised that they sent him down. The thought was that they wouldn't need a number 5 starter for a while, but if somebody got hurt, they could call him up. Those are the rules in Major League Baseball. If somebody gets hurt, you can call up somebody who just got sent down. So he ends up not missing any time, essentially. I do think they're going to have to give him another start. You can't let a guy perform this well and then cast him aside. It's important that you show trust in these guys. Junior thinks that Schmidt is going to be sent down, and I agree. Louis Penn says, glad he's back on the roster. Stay there and see what happens.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Hirsch for real says, King is our Mendoza. For the younger people, he's referring to Ramiro Mendoza. He was a key cog in that mid-90s into early 2000s team. He was a guy who would come in the middle innings, and his nickname was, I believe, Il Bruja. I probably said that wrong. El Bruja, the witch doctor. And he threw sinkers and cutters, and mostly sinkers, but he got a ton of ground balls. He was just a ground ball machine. And he was just such a vital part of that Yankees team. And if you look at some of the more successful Yankees teams, even the 2009 team, they've always had somebody in the middle of the game to kind of bridge the gap when you don't get a lot of innings out of the starter. So Mike King is supposedly going to be that guy. But, in the past, it's been Alfredo Aceves. We've had, I'm trying to think of some other guys we've had in there that did that. Adam Warren, to a degree. I'd say Chad Green, to a degree. During that wild card game, he came in and did a nice job. He pitched a couple of innings. I think he might have thrown even 3 scoreless innings in the wild card against the Twins. So, it's important to have those relievers that can come in and give you a few good innings and kind of hold serve and give your offense a chance to get back into it. And yeah, I think King could be one of those guys. That's what he was doing last year until he got hurt. Chris CMA1 says, Cashman already thinking of trading Brito for a veteran pitcher. I hope not. I hope not. El Brujo. That's what it was. El Brujo. Appreciate that.
That is correct.
So Brett says, the adjustment Brito made was going to the 4-seam when he lost the sinker in the 4th and 5th was big time. I don't know if it was necessarily intentional that he was going to the 4-seamer. It looked to me like he just lost a little bit of sink, honestly. I think he was still trying to throw the sinker. I mean, I could be wrong. I wasn't looking at the analytics, but to me it looked like a sinker that just didn't have as much bite. Maybe his natural 4-seamer, has a little bit of sink too. That happens. Yeah. So I don't speak Spanish, so we got a lot of people correcting me. El Brujo. It's been 20 years since I heard the name. Cut me some slack. Come on.
Just a bit outside.
Wrong.
It happens. Wombag Doodle says Brito needs to stay in the rotation.
Absolutely.
That seems to be the consensus tonight. That really does. So the Yankees have another rubber game tomorrow. This will be the third straight series in which they have a rubber game. Let's talk about a few things. So I've been doing this sort of cinematic show called the Yankee Chronicles, where I show the highlights in kind of a cinematic way, but I also show the after-game, post-game commentary, not only from like the Yes Network and the players themselves, but also other content creators have agreed to join. And I was going to do it every Monday, but I'm finding that it's a little bit irrelevant if I wait an entire week. So instead, I'm going to try and do them after every series, after every 3 games. And they're going to be about 10 minutes long. So at the end of the season, instead of having a bunch of 20-minute episodes, we'll have a bunch of 10-minute episodes. And hopefully we'll stitch them together and make like a mega movie about the season and just release that when the year is over. That's kind of what we're thinking. And it'll be fun to watch, especially if the Yankees win the World Series or something historic happens. It'll be fun to go back and watch those episodes. And that's kind of what I wanted to provide, put out there into the world. Not only because I like to make them, but it's also fun for me to go back and watch them later. So Andrew Calabria says, missed the game. How was it? Look at the scoreboard, Grasshopper. Wompag says, ideally you want to win 2 out of every 3. That would be a 108 win pace. Last year it seemed like the Yankees had a lot of chances to sweep, and then they would fold. They wouldn't close it out. Same thing with the year before. The third game of the series seems to give the Yankees trouble. I'd be surprised if Aaron Boone doesn't somehow run a punt lineup out there. Expect IKF in center field. You know, maybe they'll call up somebody from Single A who's never played a game before, start him somewhere. I want them to go for the kill when they've got a chance to win the series this year. That's key. That's key. So, all right, guys. Let me play the wrap-up song here and take a few more comments.
Game over. I gotta get out of here.
Brett says they were calling it a 4-seam on the pitch tracker. Seemed like he had no command of the sinker. I wasn't watching pitch tracker, so that that may be the case. Maybe the case. Jared Williams, keeping it simple, says excellent pitching tonight by Johnny Brito. And 1 or 2 more comments here. Jeff Nelson. Yeah, Jeff Nelson was another guy. I think he came to the Yankees in 96. He was part of that Tino trade after the 95 season. I believe that was Jeff Nelson, Tino Martinez, and one other player. I can't remember who it was. For Sterling Hitchcock and Russ Davis. And Nelson and Martinez ended up being key parts of that championship run. And Nelson was a sidearm slinger. If you've never watched highlights of him, there's not a lot of highlights out there, but he had a really funky leg kick, and he would drop down and throw sidearm, and he had a Frisbee slider. A couple of nights ago, somebody said that Clark Schmidt's cutter was like a Frisbee. It's really not. A Frisbee is actually a term of endearment for a pitch, and the epitome of a Frisbee slider was Jeff Nelson. Also had a great 2-seamer. I believe he was on the mound when the Yankees clinched the 96 division. Yeah, when they won the AL East, fly ball to center field. I remember him jumping up and down. I think it was a blowout. And it was rare because Mariano Rivera was on the mound for so many of those, championship celebration moments that you forget that other guys were occasionally too. John Wetland was on the mound when the Yankees won the 96 World Series. But anyway, Yankees take this one, force the rubber match tomorrow. Edwin says Jim Messier. Yeah, he wasn't bad. What was the guy's name? Scott Proctor was another guy. That was a guy that Joe Torre ran into the ground. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful Easter if I don't see you. And enjoy the rubber game tomorrow.
Hey, everybody. If you've made it this far, we thank you. If you'd like to support NYY Recaps, please like and subscribe or pay a visit to our Shopify store for some great Yankees merch.
Yes.
If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description. But if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, just visit NYYRecaps.shop. If you really want to support NYY Recaps and help keep the show going year after year, join up as a member.
Join us.
It's $5, and members get their names up in lights during each post-game show. We're also on all podcast platforms, Instagram, and Twitch this year. So give us a follow if you use any of those platforms. We're expanding, and we have you to thank for making this such a great community. We'll see you next time.
It is your destiny. in here.
Case closed.
Ball game over.
Most impressive.